Can you please call him and tell him that he needs to propose to me properly? G'day mate, my name's Margie.
And I'm Kami.
And welcome to our YouTube home, Mixed and Natty.
Yeah, where we make videos about our passions, our projects, and biracial parenting.
And today's video is a story time, which I guess kind of goes into the passion part. So it's about how we got engaged while we were living in Japan.
Yeah, totally me intensive. So, I guess there's a couple contributing factors. One, I was just coming up on orders with the Marine Corps, and I was getting ready to be an embassy security guard all over the world, which meant that we would not be seeing each other for at least 3 to 4 years. And then I found out my wife was pregnant.
Da da da.
Well, I guess then girlfriend.
So I guess we'd already been dating for a few years by this point, and we'd already talked about the fact that we were going to get married and that we were going to have kids, but that we would do it once you had finished doing MSG. So in exactly 3 to 4 years time, like all of our friends knew that, random people that we met knew that.
Oh yeah, she definitely made sure they knew.
But so it's not like it was never going to happen. It just happened a lot sooner than either of us thought it was going to happen.
Yeah, I did not end up becoming a Marine security guard, which is totally fine. Ended up canceling those orders and getting orders back to the States so we could be closer to family. And then I was like, hey, well, I guess I should propose.
And by him saying this, it was mostly me saying, hey, so I know we're going to be together. You need to propose to me. We're doing the paperwork for us to get married, because that's like a whole thing in Japan with us both being foreigners, him actually on American soil, but me a Japanese resident. So we were doing all this paperwork, and I was like, you're gonna ask, right? Like you're gonna do the whole on a knee thing. Yeah, right? Yeah. It's gonna happen.
That's so far advanced in the story. What actually happened is I was like, hey, you know what? We should get married. She was like, no. We're not getting married just because we have a baby. That is the wrong reason to get married. And I agree, those are not the best reasons to get married. But, we talked about it, and me proposing was not going to be just a last-ditch effort because she's pregnant and we should do the right thing. I don't know. But yeah, she definitely told me no the first time. It was like, if you're gonna propose, then it has to be from the heart. It has to be because you want to be with me. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So we should definitely get married. And she's like, no.
I forgot about that because we were talking on the phone, and I remember it was while I was at work, I'm like, I refuse. This is not how I am going to be proposed to. It's over the phone while we discuss what paper arrangements we need to do. Because you were about to go to Okinawa and we needed to get all that paperwork sorted before then. So I remember I was so mad and upset that I called one of my friends who's now the godmother of our son. Yeah. And I was like, can you please call him and tell him that he needs to propose to me properly?
Oh my goodness. It was a huge ordeal. Me, I am focused on getting the job done. Best means, it's not that I wasn't going to propose, I just hadn't worked out that strategy yet, but I had to make sure that we were on the same page. We're getting married so that I could change my orders, come back to the States, be closer to family, and we could do the whole parenting thing the way we envisioned it. So that was a whole solid week of me looking up rings and realizing that rings will not ship within a week. We were crunched for time. We didn't want to spend a lot of money on a proposal and in some elaborate event when we had things like buying baby clothes to worry about and getting back to the States to worry about.
Visas for me to get my green card.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was never a big person about spending a lot of money on a ring. I've always been that way. I would have been pissed if you had spent more than a couple $100s on a ring. Oh, yeah. Because in my head, I'm like, all that money could go to something so much better. So before we knew about Xander coming along, in my head I was like, oh, if someone ever proposes to me, I would rather them spend all that money on taking me somewhere or on some really awesome adventure. And then honestly, a $10 ring I would have been perfectly fine with, because I care more about what's happening or the adventure that we'd be on rather than what's going to be on my hand that maybe I might lose down the kitchen sink at some stage.
Definitely lost the first one down the kitchen sink.
Oh, I did not.
No, it was out in public. I have no idea where the stone went. It is gone.
It's missing. Yeah. That's what I mean. I'm very rough and tumble all the time. I never wanted a lot of money on a ring. Like, that was never an issue.
No.
I remember having to say that to you. It's not an issue. You could use a piece of plastic. I don't care.
Our words exactly was, do not spend more than $200 on the ring. We will use all that money to travel. Okay. I'm okay with this. It's funny enough because this was just after we had planned a 22-day trip to Europe. So she was like, yeah, definitely don't spend money on the ring. We will travel. We will do cool things. And I was like, okay. So I spent a week. I talked to some friends. I drummed up some ideas. Sadly, we were crunched for time. Me specifically, because I was leaving mainland Japan to go to Okinawa, Japan for about 30 days or so.
We literally had like 1 week where we got to see each other because you had just come back from Alaska. We had 1 week to sort out all of our paperwork before he had to go to Okinawa.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, I was getting really upset because I was like, I don't want to get married and then you propose to me. That's ridiculous. Like, that's why I was starting to get stressed and upset.
It was a lot. It was pretty big crunch. Plus, the weekends, we normally saw each other on the weekends and spent that time together. And that weekend in particular, I just couldn't make it. There was a lot going on. I had to prep to go down to Okinawa. I had a lot of from work going on.
Yeah. So in case you haven't seen like our previous video about how we met in Japan, we weren't living together. I was living in Hiroshima, like right in the city center, and he was in Iwakuni, which is like a 45-minute drive/train ride away. So we could only really see each other on weekends because of my work hours. I worked from like 1 till 9 p.m. So he would get off work at 4. Like, it just, there was no overlap time for during the week, basically.
And then I think it was a Thursday night.
It was, yeah. It was just after I finished work.
I think that weekend was when I was leaving and I just got back the following Saturday, or the previous Saturday. So I was like, this is going to be one of those miraculous events. Similar to like my Valentine's Day plans, I did not tell her anything. I simply told her that she should come down and we should hang out just so we could see each other.
Right after I finished work. So like, we would have 40 minutes basically to see each other because I would have to get on the tram, then get on the train at 9:30 at night. We were going to meet halfway at Miyajima. We would have 40 minutes and then I'd have to catch the last train back to Hiroshima so I could get home.
Totally.
And he could get back on base before they closed the gates.
Yeah, didn't tell her anything about what it was. Just like, hey, I just really want to see you. I'm getting ready to leave. Like, I just got back. I want to talk. Because this is funny enough, she told me she was pregnant while I was in Alaska. So we met up in Miyajima, which is the midway point for us. I had a plan to do something not exactly what I did.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's totally different, but I was running out of time. So I had, I think, sparklers.
Yeah, like the mini fireworks and like the sparklers, because you can buy those in Japan quite easily.
And we just kind of walked and talked. We walked along the pier, and there was a little spot that I had always driven past on my way home. I was like, yo, this would totally be cool to hang out and look at. You can see Miyajima. The moon's in the sky. It's like the perfect
see the Torii Gate. Yeah. It's really beautiful. Yeah.
Super dark.
Yeah, because it's like 10 p.m. at night.
Oh, yeah. So we hung out there. We talked about what our relationship was going to look like in the future. And then I kind of just had her sitting on the pier and she was looking out and we were asking questions like, hey, I left something in the car. I'll be right back. Lies. I had it all planned. Well, at least that's part at this point. I had sparklers hidden off to the side. I had a secondary phone so that I could take a recording of it. And then I was like, hey, Prego Ego. I was like, come here, I want to show you something. And then I lit sparklers, gave her sparklers, and she's like, what are these? And then I flipped on the iPhone
and you gave
light.
me the Eevee ears as well. The Pokemon Eevee
Oh,
ears.
yeah.
That was quite confusing, that part, actually. I was just like, why did he get me Pokemon ears? That's interesting. I think you told me later on, you were like, oh, it was like a misdirection. I was like, that's the weirdest misdirection ever.
It totally worked. Then I got down, I was like, hey, will you marry me? And she said, yes, surprisingly.
Shock and horror. Did you record it using that second phone?
Yes, I did. And then I completely destroyed said second phone.
I guess it's a good thing then that I recorded it. Because I totally knew what was happening. It was his last chance to propose to me was on that night. So I knew it was going to happen. I didn't know how you were going to do it. But
she was surprised. Don't let her fool you.
Do you want to hear it?
Sure.
You can't see anything.
This is awful.
Yes, coming to come for you.
There's no light.
No, because it was dark. It was
I
pitch
thought I
black.
flipped on the...
No. We could, like, see each other, but it was pitch black. And then
Love
that's when
it.
we were taking photos. They're, like, the worst photos of our life. But they're really cute.
Well.
Yeah. There was no way that I was not going to get a recording of my proposal. So I could have something for us to, like, listen to whenever we have, like, a really big fight or something like that and be like, it's okay. We still love each other.
Totally kidding.
Yeah, so I said yes, and then we were like illegally, I guess. I don't know if it was legal or not, but we had like snuck onto the pier. We probably shouldn't have been there, but then we ended up like going down to like the seaside and lighting the sparklers. That was probably my favorite part, actually, was like, because you know how much I love fireworks, so the fact that you brought those and like we could like celebrate together, and that was really sweet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then like had to like run to make it back to my train on time because there was no way I would have been able to get home otherwise.
Oh yeah, she almost missed it because she went on the wrong side of the train tracks. So
oh my gosh, yeah, I was so flustered. I was like, ah! I know, it's quite funny the fact that I think like we got engaged, and then we'll sort of talk about like what our wedding / marriage was like in Japan, because we were still living separately like the entire time. Just because like that's just how it worked out. But it was really sweet because then like the next time we saw each other was when we were in Okinawa and we were married. Basically.
Oh yeah, impromptu honeymoon. We totally just hung out and did nothing. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was very relaxing. But overall though, like it was really sweet. Like I know a lot of people the next day, like when I would tell people, I was just like, I'm engaged officially. Everyone's like, well, we assumed as much, like, because obviously in Japan it's very much assumed like if you're pregnant, like you're gonna get married. So so it was really sweet though, at least like getting to tell my coworkers like what he did and us going to Miyajima and things like that. So that was really sweet. And just I don't know, in comparison, like I feel like a lot of my Japanese coworkers had very similar stories about proposal. Like it's not as massive and as elaborate, I feel like, as what it is in some Western countries sometimes. So, I don't know, it felt like perfect for us, I think.
Yeah, but the weddings are insane.
Yeah, weddings are a totally different story. But that's, again, another story time later on, basically. Yeah, we just wanted to share our fun sort of like proposal story of how we got engaged in Japan and still didn't live together. Thought it would be something really fun just to share for Christmas time. Just, I know for us it's a very big time for love and giving and things like that, so it just seemed like the perfect thing to talk about.
Oh, and if you haven't seen our How We Met video, it'll be somewhere on the screen or in the descriptions below, so please check that out and subscribe for more content. Yeah, and I don't know, if you're single, Tinder works sometimes. For us it worked, so in other countries for sure it definitely works. Yeah, so I don't know, I think it's great that we have a Tinder love story and that it developed into such a fantastic thing. Yeah. But yeah, I guess we'll see you guys in another video. Mwah! Bye! Bye.